Okay, thank you for coming, everybody. I hope you are finding value in your time. Well, thank you, Angel. Thank you very much. Angel commented that I look radiant today. Thank you. Um, Sometimes I need that boost. So I'm going to move your comments so I can see them right. So just want to make sure one of the things that I love is just respecting people's time. Time to me is one of the most important assets. And it just is something very valuable. A lot of people put stock into money, but we forget the value of time as well, and really forget to focus on how valuable time is as an asset. So everything I bring, whether even though this course was free, I still want to make sure that we're respecting your time and that your time is well spent. So any comments, let us know. I always want to know how we can improve and make it better. I have so many things happening. This may be the last time I do this year. I'm not sure. This might be my last cohort. I really enjoy doing this. So it's one of those things where am I going to do it again because I really love it, or are the other projects going to kind of edge it out? Don't know yet, but we'll see. But I'm always looking for improvement. So if you guys have suggestions, let me know. But today we're going to shift gears a little bit because I want to talk more about you and standing in your power and knowing your worth. When I chose the title True Value of Your Voice, the true value of your voice, there's actually, for the title in my own mind, I have like a little subtitle, and you'll see it here and there, which is Price Your Impact. And I told you guys earlier this week the story about how I went to a speaking engagement, had set my price, and then they came back and said, well, we don't pay anybody but you, so we don't want to pay you. And it really made me sad that the people out there are not pricing themselves based on what they're worth. It really bothered me. And so that's where I launched this course. I literally got upset with this organization, but then I did some digging, talked to some of my colleagues, and they said, no, I don't get paid. And so my last cohort that I did was basically full of people who are experts in the early childhood education space when it comes to being on stages, right? Like if you guys know who Prerna Richards is, Prerna is one of my clients. I coach Prerna. I've coached Beth Cannon. I've coached Summer and Summer Peacock, and a lot of these different coaches, really to price their worth. Like what you have is amazing. You are amazing. And you need to stand by your value, right? So that's how this was born. And this today, to me, is the most important thing, because what people lose sight of, like for me, as a childcare business coach, my company, Childcare Business Professionals, it took me 17 years to develop what I teach today. And it took a lot of tears, a lot of late nights, a lot of just stress, right? Because I was once failing and I figured out how to do it right. And that's not only is it extremely expensive, and if I had to go back over my career and calculate the money I lost by doing it wrong, I would probably come close to, I know I would hit over $500,000, right? But it also took a lot of my mental health with it. Anyone who's struggled in business knows it is exhausting. And there are days where you're just kind of like, I don't know why I do this, right? So I think, especially like in the industry of early childhood, a lot of times people don't understand why we don't just give it away. Oh, you should just help your fellow. Oh, you should just, like, I do believe in serving. I do serve. But at the same time, my intellectual property is very valuable. And I would never go into Target and expect them to just give me their product, right? I would never do that. We trade monetary value for goods. And what you have, your goods, they may not be tangible, but it is still a product. It is still something that you have developed or are in the process of developing based on years of hard work, usually, right? And even if you go to college, develop something and go and you never worked in the field, you still had to get there somewhere. It still took work to create, right? And the mindset that's out there of, we'll just give it away. It is not okay. It is absolutely not okay. If I was dealing with a software company, I don't expect that software company just to give me their software. I can't touch it, feel it, or see the software. I can use it, but I can't touch it or feel it. Yet we know that we're going to pay for software, right? So when people want you to just give away your intellectual property, that's what I really want you to guard and understand and know that your knowledge took a lot of work and it is worth more than you giving it away. It really is. Um, in fact, I was actually talking to a strategist this morning who thinks I need to double my prices. He was basically saying, you know, what you offer childcare center owners and directors is so valuable. You need to double your prices. And he said the counseling that you give can save them hundreds of thousands of dollars, ease their stress. And I literally take center owners and directors from working 50, 60-hour weeks to working 30, 40-hour weeks and having more efficient, better quality programs, right? And or multiple centers or transitioning to like taking the torch over, whatever. I do a lot of that. And he was basically saying, you're not charging enough. And so it's interesting where in our field, though, a lot of people just kind of think it like, why do you charge it all? Right? You should just be giving it. So I just want you guys, regardless of the industry, there's that mindset. So I really want you to lean into that. And I really want you to be aware and know that it is okay to say no. Do not feel bad about it and protect your intellectual property. Okay. The reason people have a hard time with it really comes down to a money mindset. There's two different frames of mind that people live by. They live in a hostile world, which means that there's not enough and resources are scarce, right? They think there's not enough people out there to pay for my goods. There's not enough money. There's just not enough, right? Or they live in a world that is more abundant, which is there is more than enough for all of us. And I am going to share the wealth and I am going to give freely and receive freely, right? And it's really a lens that people see life through. And if you notice, when people see life through these two different lenses, you can literally see it in their life. If they come from this scarcity mindset, they're going to be negative, always thinking everybody is out to get them. They create stories in their head. Like, for example, there will be a situation and they already, in their mind, they already have everything planned out. Well, I know what they're going to say. Well, why bother bringing it up? Because this is how it's going to play out. Because they have that negative, hostile mindset, right? They think the world is hostile. So therefore, they jump to hostile conclusions all the time without even bothering to try or to ask. And that leads to scarcity. They also think resources are limited. Therefore, you need to give everything away. Therefore, you should just be helping me, right? So they, because of that scarcity thinking, they just kind of wait for everything to come to them, right? And they don't value us. Now, the friendly side of things, they understand that every problem can be solved with communication. It's just how you approach it. There's endless possibilities and there's endless abundance, which is why I don't mind coaching my competition. Summer, Prina, Beth, I'll coach them. I'll help them develop their brand. I don't care because I know there is more than enough, right? So just understand that you don't want to be on that hostile side. You want to be on that abundant side. But in the side of abundance, that means that you also are open to receiving and to protecting what is yours, right? We're not going to give away to the hostile people who believe they deserve everything, right? And who are always ready for the shoe to drop. I can tell you, I have tried to pour into those people. They are exhausting to work with. they are exhausting and they don't do the work. You want to work with the people who understand that when you do the work, there's always more than enough. So that's where I want you guys to really think because it gets scary. Pricing yourself gets really scary. And what happens is we start sometimes seeing ourselves from our own lens as well and thinking, well, there's no way they can afford that. Well, there's no way I'm going to make any money. There's no way. And when you think that way, then that is what's going to happen, right? You guys have heard from David most days this week where he's told you guys where he was, where his lens was, right? Where he thought that there's nothing out there for him. And when he had this mindset shift, now he sees the world of possibilities. When I first asked David what his goal was to make $40,000 a year. That was it. And I had to really help get him to see there's so much more than 40. So just understand there are those people out there. And when you shift your messaging and your mindset, you'll start attracting those people who can't afford you. And honestly, you guys, it's not worth your time to serve everybody for nothing. I was at a point in my life where I used to do that. And now I just realize it's not worth my time or energy, and they don't appreciate it like you think they do. Those are the takers in the world, and they come from a lens of lack. So we don't want to serve those people. So let's get into our slides. And that is exactly why I got so passionate about doing this, is just really helping people understand that the money mindset, especially in the industry of early childhood education and a lot of industries, money mindset is broken. It is absolutely broken. And the fact that we think in such a limiting way is kind of scary and sad. So I wanted to show you guys this slide because when I'm pricing my worth, you guys can see in the slide, there's a lot of intentional things in this slide. And this is actually one of the advertisements I use, and it's probably the cover of our Facebook page. But I chose the gold and blue colors because for a reason. They are more like opulence and wealth type of, right? So abundant. And then the price your impact, for me, that is what you're doing. You are literally pricing your impact. I pay a lot of money for coaching because I understand that if I pay $50,000 for a coach, that's going to make me $500,000. That's not a whole lot of money, right? Now, if I had a scarcity mindset, I would come from a place of, oh, I can't pay that. That's too much money. Oh my goodness, 50,000 is so much money that I used to make that in a year. I can't do that. But that would be so limiting because I'm not looking at the potential that they can bring out in me, right? So just important to just kind of keep those in perspectives. Again, I wanted to show this because I want you to see, like, how do I see myself? Do you see your worth? Okay. And as you're doing this, now I'm going to go over a couple things with you guys to say, like, normally when you're doing an introduction, if I were on stage and I'm introducing myself to you, most of people are going to come on and, like if I'm on a podcast and they say, Evelyn, introduce yourself. Usually you say, like, my name is Evelyn Knight. I am a mom of two amazing boys who are grown and flown. I own two companies, a childcare center and a childcare business coaching company. I have 3 goats, 30 chickens, right? I'm going to go into like these things, but what those are labels. That's not who I am. But if I see myself through the lens of those labels, I am limiting my worth, right? So I want you ladies to think about your labels. And a lot of times we see ourselves and we describe ourselves as labels, right? And we look at ourselves from this lens of, who does the world say I am, instead of who am I really? So Angel says, so many struggles with receiving have been, yes, surrounding the want to give and give and give. Yes, that is, I have a very hard time receiving. So I have to be very conscious and allow myself to receive. Would feel the gifts. Yes. God and the benefits of children is something I have been doing for a long daily practice. That's awesome, Angel. what you wrote in the comments there, but it is very interesting work. And it's crazy if you haven't done work on being able to receive. I had no idea that I could not receive. And when I started doing the work, it is crazy how deep that is. And I still struggle with it. It's not something I've overcome yet. So I have to be very consciously aware and remind myself to be in a state of receivership, and not just give, because I will give and give and give. But it is very hard for me to allow people to pour into me. So, but the problem with that is we will give ourselves into bankruptcy, right? And I have faced that more than once in my life, where I've given so much that I've literally faced bankruptcy. And it takes a conscious effort for me not to put myself in that place, because it's just something psychologically I have to be very conscious of. But when you go into a space like public speaking, training, or doing workshops, it's very easy for you to get taken advantage of, which is why it's so important for you to have a really good grasp on your money mindset. Where is your money mindset? How do you view money? The way I like to see it the most is like a river, right? Rivers have their flourishing time where the high tide comes in, and then the water may go out every now and then, but money flows. It always comes back. It may be gone right now, but it will be back, right? And it is never ending. It is never ending. And sometimes we are the ones who create the dams that don't let it flow. So being able to identify that and having a good relationship with money will help you to not work for free and to not take speaking engagements where literally the organizations are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but not paying their speakers. So just one of my soapboxes. I'm getting back to my slides. So normally, like I was saying, I would introduce myself as a professional, a mom. I've been doing this for so many years. I've done 2 TED Talks and all the things, right? But what I always have to ask myself now, and what my performance coach has taught me is that who I really am? Am I really that person? Who am I really? I am an intelligent, powerful, compassionate, radiant, joyful woman born to create empowerment, safety, and freedom throughout the world. I am the creator of my circumstance and my life. I am a woman who lives an intentional life of purpose. That is who I am. And when you can be in touch with who you truly are, that's when you can really accept and start embracing receivership a lot more and not giving away your hard work. Now, we still, yes, you are. Thank you. I know. So we still, it's not like this happens and the fact it just goes away, right? That we have a hard time receiving. But now the awareness helps us to know where our weaknesses are and start standing in our power, right? So if we were live right now, I would have you ladies go around and introduce yourselves to each other for who you really are, not the labels that society has put on you, not who your parents told you you were growing up, not who your staff thinks you are, not what you've accomplished or who your husband or whoever thinks you are, but who are you? And you know deep down inside who you are. We all do. Society might bury it from us and we might stop remembering and believing it, but deep down we know. And when you stand in that power, you stop letting people take advantage of you. So that's where you want to start. When you're starting this, that is where you want to start, is really knowing you and being ready to stand up for you. Jim Rohn says that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with or that you're around. If you look at your environment and you look at your top 5 people, that's pretty much what you're going to accomplish in life, right? So figure out who are you and who do you want to step into becoming? What do you want to do? And find those 5 people. Find the people to bring in. And it doesn't, like for me, for example, my top 5 people, I had to really analyze, and there's things I want to accomplish in life in different areas, right? So like when it comes to family nurturing, that's one thing. But when it comes to my career, I had to find a new top 5. And I had to search for connections. And we meet on Zoom. We don't like, they're not physically near me. I live in a rural area where my top 5 wouldn't live. So we meet on Zoom. So when you're thinking of these people in your life that you want to get into your ecosystem so you can have these different mindset shifts, be intentional, align yourself. It is vitally important in order to accomplish your goals. Because what will happen is as you set on a trajectory to accomplish your goals, if you're not aligned with the right people, it's not going to happen because you're going to just fall back into old patterns of behavior and you're not going to learn a new way of being, right? And this is so important in standing in your power. Otherwise, what will happen is you're going to produce these great trainings. You're going to go to local conferences or things like Rotary Club meetings, and you're going to speak for free. And that's not what I want for any of you. And it doesn't have to be that way. So really keeping your mindset in the right place is, I can give you guys all the business stuff. I can show you how to go get yourself booked 20 times next year, right? Or this year, the year just started. But if your mindset isn't where it belongs, it's not going to work. So that's why when I do this, I'm so heavily focused on your mindset, right? I'm going to show you tactical. I'm a tactical thinker. It's how I think. But I'm also going to focus on your mindset because I can give you the most beautiful blueprints in the world. But if our minds aren't in the right place, it's not going to get us to where we want to go. So what I want you to think of next is, who are you? And standing by your worth. No one goes to the department store and expects to pay for goods, right? Or for services. But what I also want you to look at the name brands on the left. I chose to put several different types of name brands. I'm a purse fanatic. Okay, so if you're not, you could think of, I don't know, they sell each one of those also sell clothing. But for me, I think of purses every single time. When you think of each one of these name brands, they're going to have a very different image, a very different price point, and a very different product, right? Each one of them is just fine. And I probably, actually looking at them, I own a piece of every single one of these products, right? So it's really deciding, who is it that you want to be? Who is it that you're talking to? And knowing that's the price point you're going to be at. Now, you might start at Nine West. And if you guys don't know, Nine West is a product, or Tahari, you can buy it like Kohl's, JCPenney, places like that. And that's fine. You might start there. And if your ultimate goal is to get to be a Chanel, which Chanel's more expensive than Louis Vuitton. So like, you're going to take those steps where we might start at a Nine West, then we're going to get you up to Guess, then we're going to get you up to Kate Spade, then we're going to get you to like the Louis Vuitton Gucci level, and then Chanel, right? But have that target and know where you're going, know who you are. Nine West may be like the lowest priced product on this list, but it doesn't make them the lowest quality per se. And they're still a good product, still awesome. I probably own more Tahari than anything on this list, but it's still a good product. So yes, Angel, I love your comment. I would like to allow myself to have all of these guilt-free. I have been thrift status, keeping it real. Yes. And I think that is absolutely a money mindset thing, right? And this is why I bring this up, because so many of us who want to serve others, which is probably why all of you are here, we do have this thrift store mindset, but it's not who you really are, and you deserve so much more, right? But we do start feeling guilty. We do start just having this guilt over, look at what I accomplished, look at what I've done, so I have to give it all away. The problem is that it's going to set you up for what's calling a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you will start subconsciously self-sabotaging. And here I'm putting my psychology hat on. If I do have degrees in psychology, so I kind of go back and forth. I don't practice, so I can't call myself a psychologist, but I do have degrees. And So you have to be really careful for those guilt thing and really explore why. Why am I struggling with this worthiness? Where is this coming from, right? But also be aware. So when it starts creeping up on you and you're like, oh, I really need to help these people, let me work for free, you can stop yourself and say, whoa, wait, what's going on here? Why do I need to do this? And just really explore. And for me, journaling is so empowering. There is neurological science behind, like when you take pen to paper, the amount of neurons that your brain uses is like 10 times the amount that anything, whether you're texting, typing, pen to paper produces more neurons than any other form of, like when you're working on something, right? And also pen to paper tends to access your subconscious more. So it's always a good idea when you're really struggling on like standing in your own power and not giving your things away to like, okay, why? Why am I struggling with this? And just journal a little bit on why it's such a struggle for you. Also, I think what can happen too is in this type of work, you're going to hear no, possibly, right? And those no's make you automatically start thinking, maybe I need to lower my prices. And I just went through this in my childcare coaching business. The economy has shifted. It used to be that I would tell people, this is my price, and people would just sign up left and right. No, I never heard a no, right? For my mastermind. And when we had a ton of grants, there was a lot of grant money out there. So everybody was like, yep, sure, here you go, here you go. And then suddenly the grant money went away, the economy shifted, and suddenly people started saying, I really can't do that right now. So in my mind, I thought, oh my gosh, I need to lower my prices. I'm too expensive. And I went there. So then as I'm working with a coach, they tell me, no, actually, you're not expensive enough. You're just talking to the wrong people, right? So our minds do take us there. Our minds do take us, and we do start discounting our value. And what this new strategist I'm working with said, he said, Evelyn, you sell everything in your course that somebody can literally use to have a franchised business. If they were a franchise, they would have paid $100,000 to get in, plus they're going to pay royalties. And he's on, all you're charging is $12,000. That's it. They're probably paying their franchise $12,000 a year. So it really put a different perspective on it, right? Like, I was like, oh, you're right. And then he also, like, you're pulling people out of bankruptcy and all these things. And so it's if anything, you need to double your prices. So it's interesting where my mind went to that devaluing me and the work I've done instead of really stating my power, because a couple no's is hard to hear. It is. But we have to stay true to who we are. Now, that being said, when we do in the full course, I do show you also how you can, like, I do love working for organizations like the National Association of Education for Young Women, or for young children, not women, children. And they don't have budgets to pay because this is a nonprofit. So I find other ways to make money. I get sponsors, right? I go to other companies, like large software companies in our industry, or for those of you who know Lakeshore, the furniture company, and I get sponsorships. So there are ways around it where you're still speaking and still getting paid. The other thing I look at, we talked earlier this week about having that funnel, right? Where everything you do is going to go through that funnel, and then the drip. What else do we need to set up a Shopify store so you can sell your curriculum? Do we need, maybe you can do some videos to show, Angel, you could like do some, hey, these are some great ways to really enhance massage or to enhance your business, right? You can sell that. So, and it's quick, easy things that you can monetize. If you know you're going to monetize, that's okay too. But the point is not to devalue yourself where at the end of the day, you're looking at your bank account and it's costing you more money to get out there and serve and to speak and to work than what you're bringing in. So every now and then you might take a speaking engagement that's free, but you're still going to get paid one way or another, right? And that's the main point, is knowing what is your bottom line, really understanding. The other thing that people really understand is how much money it really costs, right? There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many hours in a month, in a year. So you can only fit so much time in when you're working. So the other thing I really want you to think about is, what are you worth on an hourly basis? And making sure that you are staying true to that. When I was, as an owner of a business, I look at my staff, and I, like, for my director at my childcare center, I don't want to see her mopping floors or doing things like running around getting paper towels for the other staff. When I look at what I pay her, I always consider, if I wouldn't pay somebody her wages to do that job, then she shouldn't be doing it. I look at myself in the same way, right? Like, when I first started this, I decided, okay, I want to be worth $100 an hour. Now I've decided I'm going to be worth at least $500 an hour. So I'll ask myself, if I won't pay $500 an hour to do that job, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, right? So figure out, and I know in the beginning you're going to start somewhere. I would absolutely recommend you're worth $100 an hour. Okay, don't go below that. That's how you're going to figure out your pricing. Is, if I'm worth $100 an hour, and this is going to be, and think, like, if you're speaking somewhere that you have to travel, you're going to do 1 day of travel, 1 day speaking, and 1 day of traveling home, right? So right there is $2,400 at $100 an hour, because now you're at 24 hours of work. So your speaking price is going to be $2,400 if you look at it that way. So, and then they also pay for travel and expenses, or usually travel, but that's how I would look at your pricing. I think what I see people underestimating is travel time, and they don't realize that you just took it out. And most event planners, they already know all of this, and they're more than happy to pay you for they know that they're taking up 3 of your days. You may only speak for an hour, but they know that you're taking up 3 of your days, right? And if they don't, educate them. It's as simple as that. So really, when you look at it, that's how you're going to know your value. And you do have to start somewhere. So it's okay to start on the lower, if you know that you're okay with, like, actually making $500 a day. So you might charge $1,500 plus travel, which is going to be about $3,000 or $4,000 per speaking engagement. That's okay too. And one of the things, when I very first started speaking, I sat down with myself and decided, after my husband passed away, that I wanted to create my dream job and also pour into people. So that's when I realized I wanted to speak, because I want to travel for free, right? I was looking at it like, how can I travel but get other people to pay for it? Well, speaking is perfect for that, because I was literally, I would go, and I still do this all the time. I really want to go to Alaska, so I'm trying to get something in Alaska right now. So I would literally just go through, pitch myself to, okay, I want to go to Miami. So I pitched myself in Miami. And I think I ended up speaking in Fort Lauderdale though. But basically, I look at it like, okay, they're paying for me to fly there. They're going to pay for me to fly home. They're paying for my first 2 nights hotel, and I'm getting paid to speak. So by the time I was said and done, I would add 3 or 4 nights to stay wherever I was, so that I could enjoy and, like, be on a vacation. But most of the time, my speaking charges actually covered that. So there were a lot of times where I didn't turn a profit, but I got a free trip out of it. I've been all over the place. Like, I went to Michigan, all over New York. I've been in New York City, Buffalo, like all over the place for free. Texas several times, Salt Lake, Arizona. So it's really just a matter of, like, what do you want out of this? Right. Now it's a little bit different. I traveled so much last year that I'm just kind of like, okay, now I'm ready to be home. But I also have a lot more obligations. But I think if I were, like, just ready, I would still just be gone every month. But it's really just, what do you want out of this? How do you want to design your life? Right. And figuring that out, because then the profits might not be as important to you because you're getting a free trip. So Let me get back to my slides so I can get back into that. So really the next thing I want you guys to think about is know your why. Are you on a mission? Is there something that you just know the world needs to know, right? Even if you're on a mission, you can't do it without an income. So it is okay to make money. And I really struggled with this one because I'm on a mission. But I had to realize like it is okay for me to make money on my mission. That is okay. It doesn't make me selfish. It doesn't make me greedy. I'm doing a lot of hard work. And if I were working for an organization and this was my job, I wouldn't do it for free. So why do I think it's okay to do it for free, right? Even though it's my mission. Do you just want extra income? That's fine too. What are you trying to know your why? What is driving you? There is no right or wrong answer to this. And there's no answer that's better than another. You guys might be all of them. You might look at it like, yeah, I'm on a mission, but I also want to make extra money and I want to travel, right? And that was kind of where I was. I was at the point where I was like, yeah, I am on a mission, but I want to take my mission a bit farther and I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to do this with that. And I literally kind of spelled out for myself what I want out of my mission in order to create the life I wanted. So that is totally fine too. Like if you decide like, I just want to create the life I want, right? And have my mission a part of that. That is totally fine. I think in society projects so much onto us that we allow to hold us back. Shed all that stuff. Shed it. Society tells you, well, you have to live this purpose-driven life. And that's fine. You can live a purpose-driven life, but you can also make your dreams come true living a purpose-driven life. You can also pour into yourself. It is okay. But I think we've been taught that it's not. So it is okay to receive. So Angel, oh, I love it. Your vision statement. I'm a grateful, or I need to put my glasses on for this. I am grateful to share my light and voice with the world, facilitating and assisting in the healing journey, singing, speaking, writing, and guiding so others might remember their divine purpose, reclaim their power. Connections and opportunities are abundant. Yes, they are. Spiritual, emotional, and financial riches are overflowing with limitless wealth and prosperity. So I may continue to bless others generously. Absolutely. And there's no reason for you not to be blessed in all that as well. So that is absolutely true. And I love that. So I'm going to pause here. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Does anyone want help trying to sort this out? Like, are any of you just kind of feeling like, I want to start something, I kind of just don't know why, but I really want to do this, but I don't know why. What is my why? What is my purpose? Because we can work through that too. One of my superpowers is finding people's purpose and finding other people's superpowers. I just see something in people that they don't see in themselves. So if you are unsure, I would love to work through that with you. Angel, I know you want to speak. Do you know what you want to speak on? Do you have an idea or any curriculum you've created yet?
I have not narrowed it down as I was asking. However, I think what calls to me mostly and what my purpose in general is through my fervent love of humanity, I create safe and loving environments of healing.
Okay.
And so when it comes to the healing arts, the things that I do, it's also not just in that aspect, but in every way, how can I create safe and loving environments for healing, whether that be through music, speaking, writing, whatever that is. And what's really interesting to me about this too is that my voice has been something that I have buried for decades. And in fact, it's probably the thing that scares and excites me the most
Mhm.
And it was never anything that I actually really wanted to do. I'm really very comfortable in the background, supporting and lifting, and like watching other people shine is like what lights me up. I love seeing other people like win. Like that just gets me. So for me, it's kind of like finding that, you know, the wounded healer, essentially, knowing that the way through is through your wounds, knowing that in nature, when you find poison oak, you know what, the herb that is going to assist you in healing that is in the same riverbank 100% every time. So for me, finding that way to kind of connect people to that, the healing is always a daily constant process, and that the healing is going to come through the wound the way it's through. And so I don't know how I'm going to shift that and get it in, you know, whole in that. But definitely feel that that's where it's pulling me,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
absolutely. So you're looking at pouring into people who are allowing their wounds to basically control them. They're wounding.
Right. Or feeling like if they are in the healing world, I know that I see this a lot with people that are practitioners in mental health or regular health, you know, doctors, anybody who's in a service oriented role.
Okay.
Childcare could even be some of that.
Yeah.
I have noticed that we feel like because we're in service mode, we are not allowed to heal our own stuff, like, or that because we are the experts in certain fields, that, you know, that imposter syndrome kind of takes over and we feel like less valid, like we can't express, and who's going to hold space for us while we hold space for everyone else.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's huge, huge. Like who is holding, we are holding the space. And so what ends up happening is we are depleted. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, and who do you go to if you're the one that's the, yeah, like you said, if you're the expert in the field, where do you go? If
yeah,
you're the one holding space, where are your people? If you have no tribe, I
yeah,
mean, it's kind of huge.
it is huge. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Angel's referring to a post I did a couple on my Facebook a couple weeks ago where I was in a place where I am the person who's supposed to have all the answers. And ironically, what that is, where that came from was I was contracted to be a contributing author in a book. And my date was where the editor, all the stuff I had to turn in was coming due. And I had no idea what I was going to write about. No clue. No clue. It's my second time they've contracted me to do this. And I emailed the editor and said, I'm stuck. I have writer's block. I don't know what to do. I am supposed to be the expert. I am supposed to be the person. I am the person people come to get unstuck, and I'm stuck. And as I was writing this email to her, I realized this is exactly what I need to write about. This is it. This is it. Exactly. That I am the one who's supposed to be serving, having the answers. And now I'm depleted and stuck and out of gas and I need help. And that's okay. Right. So that's what she's referring to is I literally I wrote about, I ended up writing out like there was no resolution because in the end it was like, it's okay. I guess that was a resolution that I'm the one who's depleted and needs help now. And it was really crazy because normally we think we have to have all the answers, right? In our space when you're leading. And so it was a great eye opener for me that I don't need to always have all the answers and it's okay for me to be depleted too. So I would say Angel for you, I think developing some like a community that helps people who just are alone would be great, but I would niche it down. You got to find a niche, right? And then you can open it up to more. And then speak on that. Like speak on just, okay, for those of you massage therapists, right? We work in a world where when people are burnt out and done and exhausted, they come to us. When is it that we make our appointments with our massage therapists, right? It's when we're like, oh, my shoulders are connected to my ears and I'm up to here and I'm so stressed out. I got to call my So you're literally dealing with people who are escalated, stressed out, and need relief all the time. So you are providing that relief all the time, but and that's like messaging right there. Where are you getting your relief? How do you pour into you? Right. So if that becomes, and I'm not saying, but just an example of what could be for you. Um, Another thing that could be a good revenue generating is creating a community for them. For me, at one point in my career as a childcare center owner, I felt like I was so alone. I felt like I was an island because you always have to vent up, you can't vent down. When you're an owner, there is no one, you're alone, right? And so I was going through some stuff. We actually went through some major social media bashing, and I called the person who was my financial advisor at the time, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. And we had gotten to a point where my husband was trying to fix everything. He couldn't fix it. So he told me, like, I'm done listening. You won't let me fix it. Well, his idea was to close down my company. So, or to sell it. He was just like, let's get you out of here. And he was trying to save me, but that wasn't what I needed. Right. So he basically told me, no more venting to me. I don't want to hear about it. Unless you're ready to sell, I don't want to hear about it. So it got to the point where I was like, who do I have? I'm so alone. And even still, no one else understood. It's like, I take care of children. This is not about their children, right? So I got to this point where I felt like I was an island and I was so alone. So now, because of that experience, having my financial advisor at the time, who she helped me out. And for the first time, I remember thinking, I'm not alone. I'm not alone anymore. Somebody's there to listen to me, and she gets it. So what I did with childcare business professionals, my company, is I create a community. I create literally one of the things we do is we get together every Tuesday. We have what's called Coffee with Evelyn. We all come in the room together, and we either problem solve, vent to each other. But what it's done for us, it's created an environment where we have each other and we're not alone anymore. We literally don't really teach anything on the Tuesdays. We're just together. And it's created this really tight knit community of owners and directors from around the country who just pours into each other. That's it. And that's just part of my membership. There is a lot of other learning opportunities. But last week, when I was with a group of members, we were talking and they were telling me that is the most powerful thing. They have been with me for years and will not leave my membership because of the community we've created. And so think about that, Angel. What you're talking about is exactly that, creating some kind of community that pours into each other, because sometimes that's all we need is those like-minded people. Our top 5, right? So that's an example of how you can take your brand, what you want to create in the world, and create something. Getting on stages for things like that is one of the best ways to sell in, right? You create that product and then you sell in. Or if you want to just be a speaker, that's something different too. Like create trainings, sell the trainings, that's something as well. So I think with what you're doing though, what you're talking about, it is going to be more like some kind of community collaboration type of a thing. And then pouring into people through events. It sounds like, and it might be a 2 or 3 day event. You might do some keynotes that get people in, but really community is what you're talking about. So anyone else want to try and figure out their, like, just ideas? So I'm not saying that's what Angel needs to do, but just to get her wheels spinning on what could be. That's really what I'm trying to look at, or possibilities. Anyone else? Yeah. Oh, Yolanda says I've been there. Yes, Yolanda, I as an owner, right? We get to that point where it's so lonely. It's very lonely at some points. Being an entrepreneur can be lonely. And that's why these communities are powerful. They're powerful. Well, okay, ladies, if nobody else wants to go over theirs and their big, like, what am I going to do with this? The thing we can problem solve is where are you going to take this? How are you going to develop? If you look also, you could just trainings, right? My childcare business professionals, we also just have hundreds of hours worth of trainings. There are some of my clients, I never see them or talk to them. They just take my training library. That's it. And we constantly update it. It's always updated. So I do have clients too where I pre-record all my trainings. Some of them are live. My master coaches actually are live. I'm not live very often anymore. I am still, but not so much. But I have literally about 100 hours worth of pre-recorded trainings. I could literally have 1,000 people taking them right now, and it's no work on my part. So that's another avenue when you start this journey of speaking or training or whatever, that you can get your voice out there, where you could literally have people just purchasing a course and you're not really doing anything other than that initial time that you recorded, created, and developed it. So there's so many different things. It's just really getting to the meat of, how do I want to get my voice out there? What do I want to get out there? How am I going to develop it and give it to the world? So any other questions or comments from anybody? Okay, well, if there isn't, then we will end 6 minutes early. And I thank all of you for being here. And I've got to look at my syllabus really quick for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to talk really about speaking as a business. Just in those last 2 minutes, I've touched on it a little bit, but we're going to get much deeper tomorrow about like the business end of things and how you can really develop. So tomorrow is more tactical. Today's mindset. Tomorrow, we're going to dive into some of the tactics. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.